Baby, you don't know what you do to me. Between me and you, I feel like chemistry. I won't let no one come and take your place, 'cause the love you give, it can't be replaced.
Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Morgan, and if you're not new, girl, welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I passed Nclex on the first try. Okay, I'm gonna just be real with y'all. I'm gonna give y'all the real. Okay, it's as real as I'm gonna be able to give. Okay, nursing school was not a breeze for me. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I really had all kind of stuff going on in nursing school. I feel like when I got in the program, I wasn't as focused as I should have been because I didn't know how rigorous it was going to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if I would have known everything that was gonna happen, then maybe I would have gone with a better mindset. So long story short, nursing school was not all rainbows and pixie dust for me as it was for other people. Like, I was struggling. Like, it was just always something going on. I was in a really bad relationship during nursing school. My grandmother passed away, and I just couldn't get my groove. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't get my groove of studying. Like, I just felt like I would try so hard for an exam and then it just not work out. It was just always something going on. But by the grace of God, I finished and I became a nurse. So, let's see. Fast forward to 2020 is when I graduated. I graduated in December of 2020. I did not take my exam until May 2020. Well, May 2021. Highly don't recommend waiting 5 months to take your exam like I did. My big thing was I was in nursing school for so long. You know, it was such a hard program. I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to relax. I wasn't able to be as social as I wanted to be because I love talking to people. I love doing stuff. Like, I love traveling. I just wasn't able to do that in nursing school. So one of my big things when I graduated was to kind of just relax and have fun. So I kind of did that until April. And April kind of rolled around. I'm laughing because looking back, it was really funny. April kind of rolled around. I remember my boyfriend at the time and kind of like my mom. They were on me, girl. They were on me so heavy. They were like, okay, like, you graduated in December, like, you had your fun, not having a job, chilling, like, girl, what you gonna do? So I was like, okay, shit. I guess let me start preparing for this exam. Let me prepare for this test. So I decided that I was gonna create a study plan. Normally, I like chaos. I'm gonna be honest. I don't normally have a study plan. Everything is kind of just it's just in the air. Whatever I had to do, I knew I had to do it. I would study, and that was that. I would take my test. That was it. But Nclex, I definitely did it the right way. So I gave myself, I was like, I want to take my test in like 30 days. So I gave myself 30 days, and I was on a strict schedule. I would wake up, I would eat my breakfast, I would go work out, then I would go to the study room and study for X amount of time. I didn't give myself certain. That was another thing. Whenever I would study, I wouldn't give myself like, oh, I'm going to study for 3 hours, or I'm going to study for this. I would just try to get through as much material as I could, and I felt like I was retaining it. Like, I feel like it doesn't make sense to keep going over material because you want to study for 3 hours. Like, if you don't feel like it, you don't feel like it, and you're not going to be, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to be learning anything, really. So, the resources I use the Klimek audio, and I use Uworld. So we're gonna talk about Klimek first. Shout out to Klimek. Let me just say that first, because if it wasn't for Klimek, girl, I don't know if I would have passed the test. Like, shout out to Mark. So the Klimek audios were basically it giving you information, like broad categories of information. Like, let's say they had cardiac, respiratory, and they would put the highlights of it. So, they would put the highlights of cardiac, the highlights of respiratory, the things that you had to know. Like, the things that you should have learned in nursing school. If you didn't know them in nursing school, you need to know them now because they're going to be on this test. So, and the way Mark broke it down was like, it was easy to remember. Everything had like a little rhyme or a little hint or something that was going to make you remember this. Like, something that was going to make me, I'm doing my test and I'm going to see that and I'm going to know it because Mark said that, So his audio was a huge help for me. Each audio book would be like Some of them will be like 2 hours, some of them will be like 3 hours. So what I would do was I would start listening to the audio. While I was listening to the audio, I would jot down notes. So if Mark said it was important, or if I thought it was going to be important, or if it was something if it was something I didn't know, I would jot it down and, you know, just keep a note of it. And on top of me taking my own notes, somebody else had kind of like done notes already from Mark, or they could have been Mark's notes. I don't know whose notes they were, but they were great, okay? They were literally what Mark was saying, but as a summary type thing. So I would listen to his audio, write my notes, and as soon as I was done like with the audio and writing my notes, I would read over the notes that were already prepared type thing. I would read over the notes that were prepared, and then I would answer questions. So, I mean, I did that for like about a week and a half, because the audio, it doesn't take me that long to get through the audio. Sometimes I would break my days up and I might study a little bit in the morning, and then I would do some later on in the day. But nothing was like, oh, you got to do this. Oh, you got to do this. It was just when I felt like I was able to retain information, that's when I did it. So it wasn't like I was pressuring myself to do something like I was in school. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're in school, you know, you got to read this before this deadline, read this before this test. So it wasn't like that. It was really chill. I was calm, cool. So I was done with the audio. And after I got done with the audio, I started strictly doing questions. So I know a lot of people talk about like Hearst and other things, but I kept hearing Uworld. Like all of the nurses that were on the unit that I was taking on kept talking about Uworld. Like, girl, like Uworld help me, Uworld this. So like if you talk to like a younger nurse, like somebody who graduated like within the last 3 years, they're gonna probably tell you Uworld. But if you talk to somebody older, they're gonna probably tell you Hearst, because that was the big thing. Like you gotta do the Hearst review. You do the Hearst review, you're gonna pass. I didn't do Hearst because the unit that I was going on, they didn't pay for it, and I'm just like, why am I going to do Hearst if everybody else telling me to do Uworld, and Uworld seems to be working for everybody? Do Uworld. So I ended up doing Uworld. Uworld offers like a couple of packages. They offer one that's like 30 days, one that's like 60 days, etc. So me being me, I'm cheap when it comes to stuff like not clothes and food. I'm cheap. So I did the 30-day package. And I'm going to be honest, I regret doing the 30-day package because the 30-day package didn't come with an assessment. So it did come with like 3,000 questions. So I did every single question in the whole Uworld test bank. If it was 3,000 questions, I did 3,000 questions. That's just it. Like I did all the questions. I would read and answer the questions. If I felt like I didn't know something, I would try to look up, you know, like try to like read into it more if I thought it was important or if I thought it was going to be on the test. But one of the big things is when you're answering questions, you know, do the rationales. At first, I never used to do the rationales. And when you don't do rationales, you don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? You could just be answering questions. So always read the rationales. So, yeah, I would do 75 to 100 questions a day. I think it was like more like 100 questions because I was trying to take my test in 30 days. So I wanted to complete the entire Uworld test bank before I took my test. So, yeah, I did 31. I think it was 3,100 questions. I did 3,100 questions. Now, let me tell you this about Uworld. I wrote this down because this was really important. So when I got my Uworld test results back, you know, I told y'all I didn't do the assessment packages. So the only thing that I had to tell me how well I did on Uworld was like their performance report. So, girl, I got the performance report and it was 52%. I'm like, 52%? I'm thinking I know the information, X, Y, and Z. So Uworld recommends that you get Uworld recommends that you get an average of a 56%, and if you get a 56%, that had a pass rate of 92% passing Nclex. So now, you know, I've done all these questions. I've done 3,100 questions. I've done the entire Morg Klimek review. I'm starting to second guess myself because Uworld gave me this score that's not of the standards of passing Nclex. So, girl, then I started all over with me. I'm like, well, shit, am I ready? You know what I'm saying? Now I'm starting to second guess myself. So I think I got done with Uworld and my test was in like 4 days. So now I'm seeing this performance report and now I'm getting scared because I'm like, well, shit, girl, you might not pass the test. Like, what you gonna do if you don't pass the damn test? So I decided to push my test back. Like, I pushed my test like for a week. So I did it a week the first time. I did it a week and I didn't switch up anything. I did like a couple extra questions, like with I think Kaplan, and I hated Kaplan, but I'm like, well, if you know anything about Kaplan, if you could pass the Kaplan test, you could pass any kind of test. So I'm like, well, let me just do a couple of questions on Kaplan to see where I fall. So I did some questions on Kaplan. So the next week comes and I'm like, ugh, I'm still second guessing myself because of the Uworld score. So I'm like, I don't know. So I pushed my test back again. So then I pushed my test back again and finally I'm like, okay, if you don't know it, girl, you just don't know it. Take the test and see how it goes so you can at least have a, like an idea of what it's going to be like. So the day comes for me to take my test. I really didn't even tell anybody. That was another thing. I didn't tell anybody I was taking this. I'm like, shh. All my classmates, majority of my classmates had passed the test already because they had taken it months ago. And so I was like one of the few who hadn't, So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to tell nobody I'm taking this test. I'm going to just take the test and I'm going to see where I fall. So it's the day of the test. I woke up. I wasn't able to eat breakfast because I can't ever eat breakfast except it's a big day. I can't eat breakfast because then my stomach going to be hurting. So I went to go take my test and I remember praying. Y'all, I was praying so hard. I was praying. I wore scrubs. I thought that was so cute. I wore scrubs to take my Nclex. I just thought it was going to be good look. I took my graduation pictures in these scrubs. I got my first nursing job in these scrubs and I passed my Nclex. So they like my good look scrubs and they make my shape look, they the jogger ones, so they real cute. And I went to take my test. So I went to take my test and I'm in there taking the test and everybody knows that they want their test to cut off at 75. So I'm taking my test, I'm at 75, boom, I'm clicking my test. I'm like, okay, Lord, please let it turn on. Girl, it goes to question 76. I said, oh no. So at this point, here I am again. Now I'm scared. I'm like, shit, I done failed this test. What I'm gonna do? So I raised my hand and I went to go take a break. I took a break and I was out there praying. I remember looking, it was like glass windows everywhere in the place where I took my test. I was out there, I was thinking of my grandma. It was a pretty day. I'm just like, please let me pass this test, Lord, please. So I ended up going back and taking my test and they had just cut down the number of questions on the Nclex or whatever, I guess, like the total number of questions they can ask you. So I got the max. I don't know if the max was 125 or 145. I don't know what the max was of Nclex questions, but I had the max and I was pissed about it because I just knew I had failed the test. But they have this trick that you can do after you take Nclex, and basically the trick is you try to purchase another exam. So you'll use like a card that doesn't work anymore, or not a card that doesn't work, but like your Cash App card, something that can decline, And so basically if it declines, it tells you that you've already registered for a test. That's a good sign letting you know like, hey, you passed the test because you can't buy another one. Now, girl, if it lets you buy the test, you failed the test. I mean, I ain't gonna say you failed like 100%, but that's what the trick is. That's what they say. So more than likely, you didn't pass. But I ended up passing on the first try, which was really a shocker to me because I didn't do as well in my program. So don't let, people, tell you like, oh, since you didn't like necessarily excel in your program, like you're gonna necessarily fail Nclex, because that's not the case. And it wasn't the case for me, So just be optimistic, have a strict study schedule, and don't overdo it. If it's not like you're in school. And I know a lot of people, they're like, they want to go out, they want to make the big bucks, they want to make the money. But I feel like with me, it was just like that was my time and I was ready because I waited 5 months. I didn't care about the money. Like, it was never about the money for me. I didn't care about the money. So when I took my test, it was just me taking my test because I'm ready to take my test and I'm ready to pass. I wasn't so caught up on going to a unit. That wasn't really my thing. And also watch people telling you to like, your units, especially now, people need nurses. They're going to try to hurry up and get you to come work on a unit without passing your Nclex to give you a temporary license or whatever. And to each his own. But in my eyes, as hard as I prepared for the Nclex and how it was being a new grad nurse on the floor, I just don't recommend going through those two high stress level environments You know what I'm saying? Like, why even put that on yourself? Like, the money's always gonna be there. Focus, study, take your test, and then when you take your test, then go work on your unit. You ain't got nothing to worry about. You're not worrying about the embarrassment of not passing your test. Now everybody know you didn't pass your test and you gotta come back to work and them taking your license, all that. Don't go through that. So yeah, that's really all the tips I have when it comes to Nclex. I feel like, try your best to prepare, and if it doesn't work out in the first, on the first try for you, that's fine. Girl, you can retake it. Shit, you can retake it however many times, just see what you did wrong and then just acknowledge it. Chill for a little while. I used to always chill for. If I fail a test, girl, I'll go cry, drink me some wine, and then, go on to the next thing. So, chill a little bit, acknowledge it, but don't let that get you down. And look at other resources people use who didn't necessarily pass the first time, or see what you could do different. Somebody asked the question of, let me see. I answered, how long did I study? What resources I used? Told y'all what resources. Somebody asked, how was it being a new grad nurse? And I'm going to just give a little spill on it. I'm not going to really go into depth because I really want that to be its own separate video. But I guess I can just say, if you want to do a specialty, do your specialty. A lot of older nurses have the tendency to try to get everybody, especially Black nurses, they try to get you to do med surg, go work tele. But if you want to be a labor and delivery nurse, go to labor and delivery. If you want to be an ER nurse, go to the ER if you can, if the opportunity is allotted to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, do what you want to do. Like, for me, for instance, I've always worked in the ER. I worked in the ER as a tech for years, so I felt like the ER was for me. And actually, I ended up not even liking the ER as a nurse. As a tech, I loved it, but once my roles changed, it was a fast-paced environment, and it just wasn't what I was ready for as a new grad nurse, which is fine. You know what I'm saying? Nursing is so many other things you can do. So, don't let that deter you, and just ultimately do what makes you happy. Do what makes you happy. Take the criticism from people. Take the advice, but do what you want to do at the end. At the end of the day, do what you want to do. I mean, I don't think that I have anything else to tell y'all. I definitely want to do more nursing content, but I'm trying to wait till I actually either pick up another assignment, go back to bedside. Once I really feel like I'm ready to talk about nursing stuff, I'm definitely going to talk about it with you guys. I'm not going to gatekeep the nursing tea, the nursing juice. The little sauce or whatever. I'm not gonna gatekeep that. I just want to be, in a different space when I tell it to y'all. So I would like to thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you are taking your Nclex soon, girl, just breathe and good luck on your exam. I love y'all. Nclex day. So I'm sitting in the car. It's like 40 minutes to my exam, and I'm trying to be okay, y'all. I'm a nervous wreck, but I know that I'm ready. So all I can do is pray that I come out of here Morg and Malone, RN, okay? RN, y'all. I'm actually on time for something that's shocking. Okay, y'all, so my Nclex results are in. I'm scared as hell. I lost my voice, but I'm about to check them. I'm so scared. Lord, please let me back. I'm so scared. I passed it. I passed. Papa.
What?
I passed the test.
Hallelujah.
I can't stop crying. I'm so happy. I love. Hey y'all. Hey y'all.
Look at it, you better tell Lord, have mercy, bye.
trust, I never know now. Sprite is extra dark, now my doggy in the dog pound. They say I'm on the come up, but I've been on the calm down. See me doing good, they start to hate, that's how it goes now. I don't know why they mad at me, I always take their toes down. Driving through my city by myself, that's how I roll. Driving solo, I'm just swimming through my end.